contact present now. Thank you. Would the audience please join us in a salute to the flag, followed by a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. There's only one item of business on the third special meeting's agenda, and that is notice of intent to rescind votes taken by the school committee on February 9th, 2012, relative to posting the superintendent's position and renewing the contract. That is a typo. It should be contract, not contact, of the superintendent, and this is being offered by Mrs. Coppola.
Put it in the form of a motion.
In the form of a motion. Do we have a second on Mrs. Coppola's motion?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Ford.
Yeah, I wrote some comments down. I'm pretty passionate on the subject, and I've got some tough things to say, but I think they have to be said. Tonight has shown the community support for superintendent that is doing a great job. We've had proof of this with Governor Patrick's visit to Corbett in recognition of Lynn's improved MCAS scores, and also Secretary Reveille's visit, along with the state delegation, to praise Lynn for being ahead of the curve in educational initiatives. Those of the Department of Education recognize the great job being done in Lynn under very difficult constraints. Contrary to the comments, Lynn ranks #1 in MCAS achievement of the 9 large urban districts. Those are towns with similar population and demographics, similar communities to whom we should be compared. We are #1. Dr. Latham was chosen superintendent. It should have signaled an opportunity to work together for Lynn. Instead, it seems as though there is a witch hunt for some committee members to get rid of the superintendent. This effort has been displayed in criticism, excessive negativity, stonewalling, long and tedious, somewhat unproductive meetings. And to me, the comment, "nothing personal," doesn't cut it. If you're slashing someone's throat, saying nothing personal doesn't do much for the victim. The media also adds fuel to the fire. I think the item has done a terrible and irresponsible job on the educational front. They find front page space for such key educational issues as snack break in elementary school and the coverage of the Bermuda Short issue, but fail to report on the very significant accomplishment of Donna Whalen's class at Brickett. They won a national competition, were invited to Disney World. This was on local TV, but only after parent phone calls did it make the item. 3 days later, I think on page 5. It seems the policy for coverage in education highlight the negative, bury the positive. I ran for re-election this term mainly to support the efforts of the superintendent. I believe that I have done that and will continue to do so as long as I am in office. It is part of our duties as a committee to find and elect the best superintendent that we can. We did that. In the Department of Education handbook, it says that the duty of the school committee is to support the efforts of the superintendent. We have failed. I think that tonight was a travesty and a potential embarrassment to the city of Lynn. I've been around a long while and never heard of a position being posted while still occupied by someone doing a good job just to test the waters. I hope that the committee listened to the support tonight for a lady who has taken enough and is doing a great job. We should vote to support her. Thank you.
I too would like to take a moment to, first of all, thank you all for taking the time for your input this evening. Many times people want to be heard, and more often than not, it's done, but not always in a productive or respectful manner. We know the superintendent has been under the scrutiny of many. Some have been slanderous, misinformed, and downright nasty. Though many more have been spoken with a positive, open mind, and a support system of her mission for the Lynn Public Schools. Tonight shows that a voice should be heard and it should be listened to. We as a committee are the same as you. We run because we want our voices heard. We want to be active in our community, and we want to see the city always achieving great things. For that, for you coming forward and speaking tonight, I thank you. But I also thank the constituents of this city that have put me forward to be a voice of many that are here and not here. I strongly support the superintendent. I strongly support the voice of many, be it positive or negative. But as I've sat here for 14 years and I have sat through some nasty hunting of superintendents to come and go, I sit here knowing that this is the best superintendent that we will put forward. And the reason for my vote for not posting the position is because in the past, we have always put a vote first to support the sitting superintendent. If that vote does not carry, we have traditionally gone forward and posted the position. Thank you.
The Lynn Public School System is a business. It's a big business. And you have to run a big business by putting personal decisions aside. So when the comment is made, it's nothing personal. That means the decision is business-based. This is a big business. And as I said in the past, we owe it to the citizens of Lynn to explore every available opportunity when contracts of key people come up. This is not saying that we're going to put anybody to the curb, but the idea of saying we will continue to renew until retirement can't be. There is nothing wrong with posting a job. Somebody brought, I think it was Mrs. Williams, brought up the point that the president does it every 4 years. The mayor does it every 4 years. Every one of us sitting at this table do it every 2 years. Again, it's nothing personal. This is a big business.
In light of the number of times that we have been over this matter, I know that we could go back and forth all night. I'm going to ask the school committee to speak no more than twice on this subject. We're not going to have the retreading of all of the arguments that have made before. I think it was Mrs. Carrasco whose hand was up next.
But the subject is the same one, in different way, but it's the same one. We talk about posting the position, not to post the position. And I believe that we also, I had to work with the superintendent and school committee, but I also had to work with the students, teachers, and parents. And when I became elected, I became the voice of those people who vote for me and believe that I can make the right decision. But it's nothing personal. Again, it hurt me when people say that it's something personal. When the superintendent is the first time, 3 years ago, that she came almost 3 years ago, one of the interview or the questions that I asked her was, are you willing to provide some teachers to reflect the student population? I haven't seen that. When parents go to end, that is one of the situations that made me to believe that we need somebody, and also we need somebody who might be more sensitive to the student population, can be social curriculum, because we have a student here that they don't know where they're coming from.
Discussion. Mrs. Capola.
I just would like to say that there is a lot of unrest amongst the families that we work with. They don't feel as though they're heard. They don't feel as though they're getting the best. And in some cases, maybe they are getting the best. But maybe the communication is poor in communicating that to them or being open to them. And I just think it's an important process. And as far as, this isn't something somebody around the table brought, to the table today. This was brought by parents, and this is under the charter. The charter states that they were able to do that. So it isn't somebody at the table. I know some people think that us as a committee brought that up, but it isn't. It was brought up because they have the right under the charter. And when you have the right under the charter to do that, somebody shouldn't make them feel badly that they're using their democratic rights.
Thank you. I want to say first thank you for everybody for coming out. We've been here a few hours now. You've all taken time out of your lives to do this, and so thank you for that. One of the things I think that came out of tonight was that if and when we decide to visit the superintendent position, there probably should be some different mechanism for getting community involved. I think that came out tonight, and I think that's a good thing. But the key word there is if and when. And I think, and I said this at the February meeting, the question should be whether or not the superintendent is doing a good job. If the superintendent is doing a good job, we should not be posting the position. This is not a business, and this is not a political election. What we're doing is educating. And in that, there's a lot of work to be done. And I feel as though if we post the position of a superintendent at this time, we're going to hinder the ability to do that work, almost create a lame duck type superintendent. We need somebody who's going to be able to concentrate on the job, concentrate on the 14,000 plus kids that we have in the system, support the schools, and I support the superintendent.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, I'm going to call the roll. However, I will remind the committee, a vote in favor would be a vote to rescind the votes taken by the school committee and post the superintendent's job. A vote opposed would mean that that committee member does not want to post the superintendent's job. With that being said, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Capano?
No.
No. Ms. Carrasco?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Capola?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Ford?
No.
No. Mr. Gallo?
No.
No. Mr. Starbird?
Yes.
Yes. Mayor Kennedy?
No. Items on tonight's special meeting agenda, a motion to adjourn would be in order. Seconded and seconded, non-debatable.